And the district, what's the number of the district?
It's District 68.
And what's the boundaries of that?
It's South Sand Springs. It goes west to 177th, south of the river to 61st Street. And as you're coming into Tulsa, when you get to 33rd West Avenue, it turns south again and goes to 91st and then east over to the river.
So you got at Prattville, Berry Hill?
Prattville, Berry Hill, southwest Tulsa, and just the north edge of Jinx. Tulsa Riverside Airport is actually in the district.
Well, that's a growing district too. I mean, or it was. I mean, every time I drive through there, I think, wow, there's something new.
Yes, the Tulsa Hills that is in there now, and the new shopping center over there.
By the way, that is the biggest shopping center to be built in Tulsa since Woodland Hills Mall. I
didn't realize that, but I know it's
that's pretty
big.
Remarkable. Yeah,
and they're building a lot of new homes in there too.
Yeah, you married?
Yes, married. I am married. I've got 2 grown children, and actually 3. I got one that's be graduating from Oklahoma State with his master's in the spring, and then I've got a daughter that's a senior this year, and she is going to be going to Oklahoma State too.
Well, then you have no money.
That's exactly right.
I tell you, I have a son who's graduating from high school this spring, and I am flabbergasted. That's my best word for that, at the pricing of college these days. There's a couple of private Christian schools that we really looked at, and they're like $25,000, $26,000, $27,000 a year.
Yes,
it's remarkable.
It costs a lot of money.
And OU and OSU, I think, if you look at the total package, you're talking about maybe $18,000, something like that.
Right in that neighborhood, yes.
Yeah, good education, but it's quite an investment. So, talking about the state, we have about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Oklahoma had a fiscal budget surplus of $1 billion. It was remarkable. And now we have a projected budget deficit in the 2009-2010 fiscal year. I believe that could be. It was put a little over $1 billion. I'm not sure what it is right now. What's the solution to Oklahoma's problem?
We need to quit expanding our government, for one thing. Charlie, 2004, the state budget was $5.1 billion. And by 2007, it was $7.1 billion, a 40% increase in government spending in the state of Oklahoma in 3 years.
And the GNP didn't increase at that rate, did it?
No, it did not. It was about a 20% increase in GDP. And then we need to take a look at that GDP, because the service side of that is ever increasing, while the soft goods and the hard goods side, the actual products that are being made in this state, are shrinking.
I got a press release this week from a company that is starting to, that's based in Enid. I can't remember the name of the exploration company, but they're drilling in the Bakken Formation in North Dakota, in Montana, in that area. We've had coverage of that in the Tulsa Beacon. There is, the U.S. Geological Survey estimates there's conservatively 3 to 4.5 billion, that's billion with a B, barrels of oil in that formation up there. And, all these politicians are talking about energy independence. In Oklahoma, we know how we believe in energy. We produce energy. And it's so ironic to me, Howard, that if this country were energy independent at this point, it would produce probably hundreds of thousands of jobs. It would strengthen the dollar. It would really help our balance of trade. And yet we're discouraging the energy industry in terms of oil and natural gas.
Yeah, and we've got to let those guys go, and we need to open those lands up and let them start bringing that oil out of the ground. We need to do that, not only for our own economy, but for our national security as well. We've got to do that.
I know we are funding people that hate us, and the people that have attacked us, we're funding them through our exporting these dollars for energy costs.
That's right, and there's really no sense in that. And with all the natural gas that they're getting now from the horizontal drilling and fracking and
shale,
and the shale, those are creating lots of jobs, and we need to let those guys get that out of the ground, and we need to start using that.
And I understand that 3 of the top 5 independent natural gas companies in the world are located in Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma has a wealth of natural gas, which really is a green fuel. And I also had a conversation. I had lunch with a guy the other day who is heavily involved in the coal industry. And, of course, the environmentalists would just love us to stop using coal. But it is in this country, now China and in India, they burn coal and they pollute the atmosphere really bad. We don't here in America anymore. We have technologies, scrubbers, that make coal really efficient and clean to use. And we have I've heard upwards of a 400-year supply of coal, and it is the cheapest way to produce energy right now. And yet we're just about to slice our own throats and do away with coal.
Yeah, we can't do that. We do have the technology to use that coal safely and cleanly. So that's what we need to continue to do till we get these other sources online.
Well, you've been in manufacturing. The days of having a sweatshop and having, polluting, I mean, you can't do that anymore, can you?
Absolutely not. And then, when I was a small boy, the steel mill in Sand Springs was pouring it out.
Yeah.
It was a big black smokestack coming out of there. And quite a few years ago, they installed a system to catch that and clean it out of the air and put it into the ground. So,
you're listening to Tulsa Beacon Weekend. I'm your host, Charlie Biggs, publisher of the Tulsa Beacon newspaper, Tulsa Sounding newspaper. And if you want to find out what the legislature has done in an effort to strengthen charter schools in Oklahoma, my son goes to a charter school. You need to pick up a copy of the Beacon this week. Tulsa area quick trips, or you can call 523-4425. 523-4425 will sell you a subscription. We will not sell you a prescription. Now, Howard, sometimes people will call and say, I'd like a prescription to the Tulsa Beacon. And I would be thrown in jail if I handed out prescriptions because I'm not a pharmacist. It's a subscription, but we'll be glad to take care of you. We're talking with Howard Pidcock, Pidcock, and the contact information for your campaign again
is howardpidcock.com. That's HOWARDPIDCOCK.com.
I bet when you Google your name, you don't get a whole lot of hits other than you, right?
That's exactly right. You can Google me, and there's about 10 pages so far.
Well, and you're running for the an open seat. Chris Benj is term limited out, and that's District
68,
which is southern Sand Springs, Prattville, Berry Hill, and parts of western Tulsa.
Yeah, southwest Tulsa.
Southwest Tulsa,
South Sand Springs, Prattville, and just the north edge of Jinx.
Howard, in 2009, the state legislature passed a kind of an omnibus bill to place some restrictions on abortion. There were really 7 provisions in that bill. And a Oklahoma City judge threw that whole thing out because he said that you can't pass a bill that has more than one topic in it, which is ridiculous. Because it was all about abortion. And we had Ryan Leonard, a candidate for Attorney General, on last week, and he said there was a terrible decision by this judge. But as a result, right now the legislature is bit by bit having to pass those bills individually. And so far they've been successful in all that have come through, and hopefully the governor, who is sometimes pro-life, sometimes pro-abortion, just depending on the political winds, will sign those. Where do you stand on the pro-life issue?
I am pro-life. I believe that life begins at conception, and I will always vote pro-life. And I hate it that the legislature had to go back and divide those 3 subjects out and do them one at a time. But thank God they're doing what they think they need to do.